disability vote. We're trying to cover every basis again with the from the accessibility with the wheelchair, from the parent members.
I want to make sure everybody know that if you have some type of disability, your vote counts as well. So we have literature to give out for anyone for is making sure that they too get out and vote, and whatever it means we can help them to vote, we're here to help out.
Michael Robertson. Well, what me and my group did to increase the voter participation was we did the GOTV, got out to vote, did door knockers, went to door, we built the campaign, we did help with absentee ballots and registered to vote.
My name is Mark Allen, and I'm a Grassroots Connector. I became a Grassroots Connector because I really wanted to help people in my hometown, because there's no one helping people down that way. So I was approached by Lee Jones, and I thought it'd be a good idea and something that I could do.
Hi, I am Pastor Michael Jackson, and I am a Grassroots Connector. The most challenging moment that I've experienced during these elections was as we went out to encourage others to vote. Some were not registered to vote. We went to an elderly person's house that was disabled, but they wanted to vote. They said nobody wanted to take the time. We took the time to wait on the young man to get dressed, took his wheelchair, we put on our van, we took him to the poll, made sure he got something to eat on the way back, brought him back home and made sure that he got back in his home safely. Another challenge that we faced, part of just as a Grassroots Connector, challenging moment that we face, is just making sure that those that have been incarcerated, those who didn't know that they had a right to vote, encourage them to just make sure that they had a right to vote.
Hello, I'm Lee Jones, and I'm a Grassroots Connector. As a disabled person myself, I found a need to be able to speak up and assist others who may not know about their disability votes, their rights as a disabled voter. So I wanted to really be a part of this and see what I could do as a community leader to improve the turnout for disabled voters. One of the most inspirational moments was when I received a call about an individual who was in a wheelchair and needed some assistance to get into the facility, into the courthouse, and just get some other help. The person had a lot of different disabilities, and was very happy to know that the poll workers were educated enough to help that individual to be able to cast their ballot. So that was inspirational. I am a local community advocate, and I understand just how important it is for disenfranchised populations to have someone to speak for them if they feel that they don't have a voice. And it has been very encouraging for me to be able to take the lead and, along with my colleagues, to inspire them to come out and vote for the things that they know that they need. And this experience has gone a long way in encouraging all of us to continue the work that we're doing. The vision is this, that will increase voter registration, education, and turnout. I think that this the general election and the runoff, the Senate runoff, has shown all of us just how powerful we can be if we stand together with a collective voice about the issues that we feel are going on in our communities. And we can make a difference by getting the right people in place to help us to do what needs to be done in community. Once I became a Grassroots Connector, I realized that with me being a disabled person as well, I had some of the issues that I was reading about in the newspaper. I received a ballot that had my name misspelled. The next ballot that came, my address was wrong. The third ballot that was sent to me, the address to send the ballot back to the courthouse was wrong. And I also realized that I was not in any physical condition to go and stand in a line that was more than 3 hours long. I would not have been physically able to do that. So this really became a personal situation for me. And I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything within my power to make sure that people that are disabled had an opportunity to get to the courthouse or to their precinct to cast their vote and would not encounter some of the things that I was seeing and hearing about and what I personally experienced. So that is one of the things that I'm going to continue to do.
Hello, I'm Mike Meredith, and I'm a Grassroots Connector. The importance of being registered to vote is coming back around like it was back in the 60s when there was a lot of efforts made to get people registered to vote. I think somewhere between then and now we kind of lost that, that insight, or lost the importance of being registered to vote. But I think now with this younger generation, they're bringing an excitement back around again.
Who inspires you to do this work?
Well, my community and God above is my number one inspiration, and through that, the scriptures, prayer, people in my community, the fact that I was born here and lived here in this community in a time when segregation, and saw the work people put in, whether they were poor, middle class, wealthy, how the community worked together to get things done. That inspires me to continue that effort and spread it to our young.
To be a REV Grassroots Connector was something I found very challenging for me, because initially I didn't know exactly what it entailed. And then once I started finding out what it was going to require of me and the community, I got more excited to know that this was something that we really need to inform our community about, the need to get people more informed about voting, about those who have disabilities, and how it's important that their voice is being heard. Unfortunately, a couple years ago, a dear friend of mine found themselves in a situation where they were in an accident, and their lifestyle changed. And like a lot of people, when your lifestyle changes, you have to make adjustments. And when this person shared with me some of the challenges they were having, just coping, and as far as just getting services and things that they needed, was very challenging. And then when they brought to my attention during this pandemic how difficult it was just to get information about casting their votes and being able to know where to go, I realized that this was a very big challenge for not just this person, but for a lot of people in the community, especially in the rural and small communities. Well, one of the things that I did, and people in my community, we all came together and collaborated. We identified other organizations in the community that could help and partner. So when there was voter registration drive, we always made sure that there was information there available for those who had disabilities, or made sure that those that were there could take that information back to their community, to their church, to their nonprofit organization, and bring awareness to this. Knowing that Georgia, 27.2%, I'm not positive, of people in Georgia have some form of disability. It's a large percentage of our population. So if they're being disenfranchised or don't have an opportunity to vote, that's a big number of our people in our state that will not have a voice. I'm thinking about a young lady whose father has a disability, and as his caretaker, trying to figure out how she could get things done on his behalf, and just seeing the work that those had to do to put things together, and how she made sure that her dad's vote counted. It was so inspirational that she took him there, watched him vote. When he put his little voter tag on, then took a picture of it. It was just so great to know that his voice was being told. I mean, he was able to cast his vote. I understand in the United States, it's a little bit about 25% of the people in the United States have some type of a disability. In the state of Georgia, it's like 27.2%. That is a lot of voters that we need to engage and make sure their voice is heard. We also know that a lot of those who have some type of disability normally are living in communities that are disenfranchised. So we've got to do a better job of connecting, because their voice is so important. when we talk about legislation, we talk about policies, we got to make sure that their needs and things that they're asking for is part of that process. So I think it's imperative that we put more things in place to make it much easier for people to vote. I know right now the legislature is talking about having 2 forms of ID in order to do absentee ballots. It's challenging for someone with a disability to just get one ID right now. If you have a person who never drove, don't drive, then yes, they can get a state ID, but then now you're asking them to have another form of ID. So once again, it's just that we've got to educate our community. We have to let those who have any form of disability know that their voice is important, and one of the ways to do that is to educate and inform our community of what they can do. I think it's overwhelming. I think it will be a great collaboration, because we do know that majority of those who may have any disability live in the communities of color, are already disenfranchised, have limited income and limited mobility and transportation. But once we empower these individuals and give them opportunities to access the polling, then that's going to provide them with more resources. We need to be able to listen to these individuals so they can tell us what they need. And so over the years, that has not been done so well. But I think now this will be a great opportunity to provide these resources to our community. Well, what I would say to anyone right now is your vote matters. It's very important that you exercise this right. So many people have sacrificed for us to have this opportunity. And unfortunately, there are times when barriers and things are put up to stop, but it's so important that you take the time to educate yourself and find out what are those things that are available to you. And I think for me, on a personal note, I will do whatever I can in the platform that I have to make sure that we keep everyone informed. I ran for office 7 years ago, and my main purpose for running was to be the voice for the voiceless. I realized there were a lot of people who just didn't know. And a lot of times they don't act because they're just unaware. And so as soon as we can educate our community on the resources and the platforms and the tools that are out there, it will be more beneficial for everybody.